is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, and productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope today that you'll consider this your vitamin or supplement for your mind and heart. And however you receive or download podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review, and be sure and tell your friends about Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Thanks for joining us today. I want to talk about goal setting. I want to start out, that's one of the taglines in this podcast is goal setting. So why even bother? What's the point? And what's the purpose of going through goal setting? First of all, let's every so often in these podcasts, I like to give kind of a thumbnail definition of what goal setting is. A good definition for goal setting is a dream for the future that you write down and you commit to. There are a couple of key phrases in that very simple definition. A dream. What is it that you believe you were put here to accomplish? What are some things that you need to do for your own spiritual life, physical life, financial life, relationship? What do you believe you need that the Lord has even placed you on this planet for? What are some things that you'd like to accomplish in your work life? I mean, it can be any host of things, and many times it goes by the tag of being a dream. The second item that I wanted to point out to you from that definition is something you write down. There is almost something mystical, some important aspect to writing it down. I believe it was Zig Ziglar that said if you write a goal down, you're halfway there. If it's just a wandering thought in your mind that would be nice to get around to someday, that's really not a goal. That's hopeful or wishful thinking. And then the third component of that very simple definition is it's something you commit to. It is not really a true goal in your life until you absolutely commit yourself to it. So that's just a real simple definition. Over the weeks ahead, we'll give other definitions to the term goal setting. But let me give you 5 things that I think happens when you set a goal. I think the first thing it does it helps to increase productivity. It gives you a reason, and all of a sudden when you have some things that you're working toward personally, professionally, spiritually, financially, and so on, it increases your productivity. You have a goal, you have something you're shooting for, you have something that you're aiming for, you have a clearly delineated goal in mind, and it increases productivity. The second is it is a tool for motivation. If it's a goal and it has captured your heart and mind, it will motivate you. It'll give your life some motivation. I want to see this accomplished with God's help in my life. I think the third thing, another third important reason for setting a goal is it helps our life to have a sense of purpose. Why am I here? Why at this particular point in my life am I doing the things that I'm doing? Everyone needs a sense of purpose. If you're going through day after day, just going through the routine, or if you're just trying to collect a paycheck, that really doesn't give your life a genuine purpose. And so setting a real goal gives your life a sense of purpose. I think I've already alluded to it, but the fourth one would be direction. You realize there are a lot of good things you can do. There are a lot of good organizations you can belong to and contribute to and be a part of. There are some people, it seems, that they've really never defined who they are and what they're doing, and it's as if every morning they get up and get on their horse and drive off 100 different directions. If nothing else, a goal will help you to direct your thinking, your prayer life, your activity, what you are trying to do. And I think the fifth and final thing that I would say, another reason for having a goal and setting goals is it allows you to have some dramatic improvement in your life. You have a purpose and you begin to marshal all of your personal resources. By that I mean your time, your energy, your effort. They're all going in one simple direction, and you will notice, if you set some goals, you'll notice dramatic improvement in your life. So let's talk about setting a goal. All right, here's a goal that I want to accomplish, whatever that may be. And that's a destination. It's out there in the future. How am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? Just a few days ago, I'll tell you how boring my life can be on vacation. One night it was raining, and so Suzanne and I watched an old Walt Disney classic of the Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. And I loved the book, and I loved that little old movie. And everyone is ordering their life around getting the treasure map. There is a treasure out there somewhere. That's the goal. In order to get to the goal, we have to get a treasure map. And on the treasure map, when finally Long John Silver takes it from young Jim Hawkins, there's an X that marks the goal. That's where the treasure, that's sort of your goal. Your goal is, I want to lose this much weight. I want to get out of debt. I want to grow spiritually. I'm going to read the Bible and pray every day. I'm going to meet these goals at work. Whatever it may be, that's the X. That's the treasure. The problem is, you can sit down and you can write out this wonderful goal setting, sort of like a treasure map. But here's the problem. It's sort of like the directional sign at the shopping mall. There's an arrow that says you are here and your destination is way off somewhere else. Well, a treasure map, and you might try this with your goal setting. Here's the X that marks the spot. Here's my destination. Here's my goal. How am I going to get there? The treasure map is basically saying, what do I have to do today to move one step closer to the X, to the accomplishment of this goal? You see, when you set a goal, for me anyway, I try to work my way backward. I've been telling all of you that just recently, to reach some 2 or 3 goals that I had set really last fall and the beginning of this year, is I began to study the subject and say, what are the actions that I can measure daily, or at least weekly? That if I do it one after the other, I will make progress and I will move myself toward the goal that I'm trying to accomplish. That is a sense of treasure mapping. Here's where I am today. I'm not where the treasure is. I'm not where the goal is going to be. What is it that I need to do tomorrow, the days ahead? For losing weight and getting in health, having read several people who were successful doing what I was wanting to do and have now done, is I broke it down that there were 240 1 hours of cardio or 480 half hours of cardio I needed to do within the year. And so I kind of pulled back from looking at the X of how much weight and what kind of health I wanted to get into, and I began measuring, I'm going to do this activity every day. And then there was some strength training and how often I would have to do that. And I just began measuring it, and incrementally it moved me toward the goal, as it were, the treasure map. Now there's an old thing that's been said about goal setting that I'm pretty sure that everyone listening has heard of, calling them SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. Some people go on and add inspirational and some other things. But let's just look at those 5. Specific. You can't set a goal for something nebulous and sort of so large that it's hard to measure. You wouldn't be able to get it. Be specific. If you want to lose weight, say how much weight. If you want to get out of debt, we're going to talk in a moment, but be specific. If you want to take control of certain things in your life, if there are some projects you need to do for work, be specific. If it's too broad and too overly generalized, it won't inspire you. And if it doesn't inspire you, it's not going to inspire anyone else. And if it doesn't inspire you, it won't cause you to perspire to get there. And it will hardly get you out of bed to get moving. So be specific. Don't just say, well, I want to be healthy, or I'd like to lose some weight, or, oh, I'd like to have some money to retire, or I'd like to be able to fund a mission trip, whatever it is. Be specific with what it is you want to do and how much it's going to take you to get there. The specificity is your treasure map. There's the X. That's the goal. That's where I'm headed. Now I'm going to have to get myself from where I am today to where that is. The second is very, very important, and that is measurable. Matter of fact, if you can't measure something, I am told it really doesn't exist. Now, I know that there'll be some of you who'll come up with examples, but I'm talking about goal setting and something that you're seeking to reach. If you can't measure it, it doesn't really exist. And if you can't measure it and it's a goal, then it's nothing more really than just some fluffy idea rolling around there somewhere in your mind. So you have to be able to measure it. If you can't measure it, how will you know when you get to the X? When you get to the place where you have accomplished the goal? So it needs to be both specific and it has to be measurable so that you'll know when you get there. The third one is it must be attainable. Now that doesn't mean that it should be easy. It should have some hardness. If you're going to try to lose weight or change your health, that is a hard goal, but it is attainable, but it will stretch you. The best goals are hard. They will stretch you. They will get you out of your comfort zone, but they are attainable. I did not set a goal that I would weigh 105 pounds. That's not hard, and that'll not stretch me. If I were to be cremated, which I will not be, but if I were to be cremated, my ashes would weigh more than 105 pounds. That's not in any way healthy or realistic. It's just an outlandish number. That's what I weighed in about the second grade. So it has to be attainable. Can this be done? Yes, whatever it is can be done, but I'm going to have to marshal my best effort. I'm going to have to work. It's going to take some maximum and massive effort. So yes, it should be attainable, but doesn't mean it shouldn't be hard and it should stretch us, but it has to be attainable. The fourth one, specific, measurable, attainable, is relevant. It means if your mission does not help you accomplish something important, why would you set it as a goal? I guess most people's goals seem to be, I want to be the same person next year that I am today, and that's a pretty easy goal. Just keep doing whatever it is you're doing or not doing, and it'll happen. It has to be relevant. You'll not be motivated. You'll not be inspired if your goal does not help you accomplish something that to you has value and importance. So it has to be relevant to who you believe God has created you to be and why you are here on the earth. And then the next one is it has to be time bound. There needs to be a deadline. You can't say, I want to lose 50 pounds sometime between here and when I die. You know, whether it's 6 months, a year, or I want to be out of debt in 9 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it is, it has to have a deadline. I think there's just one simple reason why you should have a deadline. Deadlines for goals are excellent ways to combat procrastination. And if you're a member of the human race, you are going to battle procrastination. One author said, I have had to fight enemies all my life to achieve what I've achieved. And the biggest enemy was my own ignorance and laziness. Most of us aren't going to fight the fiercest battles with others or demons or someone else. The toughest battles that you and I will face are battling ourselves, that we want our propensity to be lazy or to procrastinate, or let me put this off till some other day. That's why you need to have a timeline and a deadline for your goal. It's an excellent way to help you combat procrastination, and all of us have to combat it. So the final thing that I want to say about goal setting today is the process should be simple. You should write it down. You should get some clarity and pray over it, think on it. Read some other people. That's the great thing about the internet today. You can find information on about any given subject you're looking for, including goal setting and whatever your goal is. And there'll be people who will give you some ideas, some thoughts, some handles on how to reach it. I'm not saying just copy down their plan and go with it. You have your own brain. You'll have to run it through your own filter. You can't borrow someone else's sweat. You have to do some of the thinking and working on it yourself. But why don't you sit down and think of a goal you'd like to accomplish that is both simple but hard. Simple meaning that it is attainable, it's doable, you can do it. But it's hard. It's going to stretch you, and you're going to need to work at it. And it is going to take a lot of maximum effort, but you can do it. This is Dr. Ron saying to you today, why don't you sit down and set some goals and make sure they're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And it will help to increase your productivity. It will motivate you to be the best you can be. It'll give you some sense of purpose, direction. And I believe you'll notice some dramatic improvements in your life if you set a goal, work your way back, and say, I'm going to put in the effort. I believe this is why the Lord has put me on earth to do this kind of a thing. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, and today, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope today this has been like a vitamin or a supplement for your heart and mind. And however and wherever you receive podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review, and please tell your friends about this podcast. This is Dr. Ron saying until next time, leader, you're doing better than you think you are, and have a great and blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon.